Elon Musk did an interview with Ted Cruz that dropped today, and it was really interesting. Elon's always interesting, but he and Ted Cruz were talking about everything Doge has been doing, and I want to get into that. There was one clip in particular that just blew my mind. My name is Brian Craig. This is the Brian Craig Show podcast. The Brian Craig Show is brought to you by Tom Laporta at Laporta Contracting and Roofing. If you're in the state of Florida and you need roof replacement or repair, Tom Laporta is your guy. He'll never sell you a roof you do not need. If you need just a simple repair, he'll do it. Online at laportaroofing.com. All right, so this interview with Elon and Ted Cruz, it was actually in the White House. And it's Ted Cruz's podcast that did this interview. And I wasn't sure what room that was in the White House. I didn't quite recognize it. And they didn't say. If they did, I missed it. But he went through a lot of things about Doge that we don't know. And this one particular clip, let me just play it and then we'll talk about it.
One of the things you told me about is what you call insane. Magic money computers at the treasuries. So tell us about it, because I never heard of that until you brought that up.
Okay, so you may think that that the government computers all talk to each other, they synchronize, they add up what funds are going somewhere, and it's it's coherent. That the numbers, for example, that you're presented as a senator, are actually the real numbers.
One would think.
They're not.
Yeah.
Okay. They're not totally wrong, but they're probably off by 5% or 10% in some cases. So I call a magic money computer any computer which can just make money out of thin air. That's magic money.
So how does that work?
It just issues payments.
And you said something like 11 of these computers at Treasury that are sending out trillions in payments? They're mostly at Treasury. Some are, but there's some at HHS, some there's one or two at State, there's some at DOD. I think we found now 14 magic money computers. 14, okay.
They just send money out of nothing.
Okay, and that money goes, well, who knows, right? It could go anywhere and everywhere. And he went through some other things too with subscriptions to software, which is very expensive, and there's billions of dollars in that spent. And he was talking about how they're cutting off the illegals that are receiving Social Security and disability, which is like $100 billion. And who knows? I'm very interested when they do that. How's that going to affect, California? How many people are illegal in California living off of government benefits? And he thinks that Doge is going to be done with this by October, that the 2026 budget is done by the federal government in October, and he thinks they're going to be done by then, which would be amazing. But I'll tell you, now this is just my thought with Elon Musk and Doge, and maybe they have a very good reason that they're doing it this way, but I would say that Elon Musk, the one mistake they're making is I don't think they're communicating well enough with the public what they're doing. Now, I know they've got their website, and everything that Doge uncovers, they post on the website. I went to the website a little bit ago, and it's the phone book. It's too much. There's no way that that anyone's going to go through that and make sense of it. It's just not going to happen. You got to be realistic about these things. But Doge is not communicating to the American people clearly enough what it is that they're doing. And maybe every week is too much, but every 2 weeks, maybe once a month, if they would come out with Carolyn Levitt and not have a press conference where everything is thrown at them, but where they come out every so often and make a presentation about what they have found. And then if they want to take questions, they can, that are related to that. But they haven't been doing that. And I'm not exactly sure why. These magic money computers that Elon is talking about here, and this is frightening. So there's 14 of these computers. They're at the big government agencies. And they're sending out boatloads of money, like the $2 billion. Well, I don't want to exaggerate. The $1.9 billion that Stacey Abrams got, 1.9 billion with a B. That money is just being sent out by these computers all the time. And it's really discouraging because for me personally, I'm not talking about from a political standpoint. You see all these people that that work for the government, that run for office, and how wealthy they are. And now we know, like Stacey Abrams, with these fake organizations, they have $1.9 billion. And of course, if you're Stacey Abrams, you're these people that run these NGOs or charities or everything. There's been zero accounting for the monies they receive. They just get a lump sum of money, and no one from the government ever checks up on them to see how they're spending it. Now, the reason they do that is not incompetence. They don't want to know, right? This is how they take care of people, and they pay themselves salaries, they buy themselves homes, and they live these very lavish lifestyles. And what's happened with this permanent Washington class, they've had this system going on for we don't know how long. My guess would be most of it has been since the Second World War, would be my guess. Because before the Second World War, we weren't a world power like we are now. We weren't the most dominant in the world like we have been since the end of the war. But it may have been this way all along. And it's just gotten bigger and bigger over the years with the snowball effect. But these people have all made deals with the devil. It's like the media that are so overpaid, right? Like Brett Baer with a $35 million house in Palm Beach. It's not even his main house. Why is he paid so much? He'll do whatever they want him to do with their messaging. And the permanent Washington class, it's not just that they take care of each other. This is how they keep people on television and in government defending these absurdities. Because they're sent if Stacey Abrams got 1.9 billion sent to her NGO, she's not even a big player, right? How much money are others getting? And we get a lot of calls, when I'm doing the morning show about, there really aren't these people that are over 120 years old receiving Social Security. Well, the money's going somewhere. Okay. The money is going somewhere. Everything in the government we're finding, a big chunk of it, is about buying people off and controlling them to maintain their power. The government is a click machine. They make deals with the devils when you give someone $1.9 billion, and that's only one instance of a particular person we know about. People like that are going to do whatever you tell them to do for the rest of your life. That's why President Trump has had such resistance, in his first term, Mueller and all these people. They're in that club where all these monies are being sent around, and there's nothing you can do that's going to change them or interfere with them or get them to change up anything they're doing. And it seems almost hopeless, but it's not. Because one of the reasons that they're doing so much laying off of people, firing so many people in the government, is to make this permanent Washington class inoperative. They're not going to be able to run things like they always have when they are so divided, right? And when you look at these government expenditures, there must be a reason that DOJ is not having these regular briefings. I would say that the things they're uncovering are worthy of primetime specials that should be broadcast and streamed online during primetime so people can actually see what they're doing and what they're uncovering. Because what's happening is things are getting a little muddy. And maybe that's part of Trump's plan. Maybe President Trump does not want DOJ to be too specific with it. Maybe it's to keep you. I don't know, but I would like to see them regularly explain to the American people what it is they're doing exactly. If you're a homeowner or with a homeowners association and your roof is old or compromised, you need to call Tom Laporta at Laporta Roofing. Laporta Roofing has been in the roofing and construction business since 1984 with thousands of roof installations and thousands of satisfied customers. Did you know that in the state of Florida, you can open a roofing company and borrow someone else's license? Tom Laporta is the holder of his roofing and general contractor's licenses, not like the other companies that borrow other people's licenses. So be sure who you're dealing with. Tom Laporta and his team are honest, knowledgeable, and reliable, and he'll never sell you a roof you don't need. Laporta Roofing carries all insurance, including workers' compensation on all of its employees, not just a waiver like other contractors. Laporta Roofing can handle any type of roofing job too. Residential roofing, HOAs, condominiums, and churches. If it's roofing, Laporta Roofing can do it. So call Tom Laporta on his cell phone, 954-604-4602, or connect online at laportaroofing.com. That number again is 954-604-4602. Laporta Roofing, the go-to roofing company you can trust. So tomorrow, this is big. This is super big. Tomorrow, President Trump's going to be speaking directly on the phone to Putin, talking about money trains and everything, right? And when that conversation happens, we're going to get the beginning of the end of this war in Ukraine. And I was surprised last week when the head of NATO was with President Trump, how quickly the NATO head went along with Trump so far as ending this war. I was very surprised to see that, tell you the truth. And I don't think I'm alone with that. There's been this narrative going that Russia's our enemy. I'm not saying Putin's a good guy. He's been in power for 25 years, okay? Somebody that's in power that long is not, he's a dictator. Maybe not a Stalin-like dictator, but he's a dictator of some sort that he can stay in power that long. I get that. And you know what? So does Trump and MAGA world. We all know this. This is not some big secret. I know the liberals think they've got some kind of secret going on here with that, but there's no secret with that. We know that. However, he's not our enemy. And our enemy, as we've been talking about with what Doge has been uncovering, our enemy is right here in this country that is stopping us at every single turn. They've been invading us with the illegals, setting them up with benefits for all kinds of nefarious purposes. Our people have been attacked and murdered and raped and victimized in many ways. Trump deports these gang members to Venezuela, and Obama judge tries to stop it, and they're still trying to obstruct. Our enemy is not Russia. Our enemy is not in Europe. Our enemies are right here. And we need our energies focused. And the one of the reasons, other than the obvious of its, feeds the military industrial complex, these wars. Remember, the Ukraine war started about 5 minutes after the pull out of Afghanistan. Okay, they need to, and that was a 20-year war. They need to have constant wars going on, and they're not going to be happy unless there's constant wars going on. But because they want to make that money. But another purpose that it serves for them is that it distracts us from what's going on in this country. And, what's going on in the United States right now is something that the only other time I've seen anything close to this was after 9/11. And what I'm talking about is the country is very united. The people of the country are very united on the side of Trump and everything that he's doing. And you see how effective President Trump is being right now. That's in large part because the American people are so united behind him. And the left and the establishment, what they feed on is division. And if they can keep us divided, we're not united against them. That makes sense. They're all into division. And, it's so interesting how many of these things that the left have been pushing have disappeared. Critical race theory, nobody's talking about that anymore. Defunding the police, who's talking about that anymore? Even this transgender athlete thing is fading away. All these things are fake issues meant to divide the American people so that the permanent Washington class can have their way. And, when this Ukraine-Russian war ends, I think we got to accept that Putin's going to get some of what was Ukraine before the invasion happened. And people are going to give Trump a lot of grief over that and everything else. But that's just the way it is. And, we've got to get that ended. So that we can focus in on what's going on in this country. And, you know, like I got a call today on the morning show for this guy in New Zealand, and he says something that a lot of people in other countries say. If you watch me in my YouTube chats when I'm on the air live on YouTube, and you hear a lot of people from other countries, oh, the world's laughing at you. The world thinks this, the world thinks that. And I told this guy from New Zealand, I said, in America, Americans, we don't care what people in other countries think about us or what we do. And it's interesting how that is such a shock to people in other countries. They really think that we care. If they say they're laughing, we don't care. And, you know, maybe there's arrogance with this, but I think it's arrogance that we have very good reason to have, is that we're the best country in the world. Our way is the best way. Our way of life, our government, our civilization, everything else. Everything about America is the best way to be. And these other countries, the reason they follow us so much is because we are number one in everything that's important. You know, New Zealand. I don't know who the current prime minister is of New Zealand. Do you? No. You know, and most of these countries that think they're so important around the world, even in Europe, except for a handful, most Americans don't know who the leaders of any of them are. And the reason we don't know the leaders of these different countries is not because we're not informed or uneducated. It's not important who their leaders are, because they're not players. There's a handful of players in the world. America's number one. You've got the United States. You've got Russia, you've got China, and then there's a few lesser B-teamers, but that's about it. And the rest of the countries in the world are just sitting back, and for the ride. And these are the players. I know there's more than just, you know, us and Russia and China, but we're the three main players. And China is very far behind us, much more. You know, there's an impression that's been given about China that they're catching up to the United States. No, they're not. They're very far behind us in every category. They're not even close to us. And now they're a threat because they're crazy and they do terrible things. But so far as an economic powerhouse, they're not even close to us. Either is Russia. You know, it's amazing to me that we still have the largest economy in the world when we had 8 years of Obama, 4 years of Biden, just totally wrecking it, and we're still number one. And that's America's greatest power. So when Putin and President Trump have a telephone conversation tomorrow and begin ending this war with Ukraine, be prepared for all kinds of terrible nonsense to be said, because the liberals are just not going to be able to handle it. We're going to take our first break and be right back. Fire emergencies can happen fast. Are you ready? With the Guardian Pro Emergency Fire Blanket, you can take control in seconds. Unlike other brands, this is the only fire blanket that meets U.S. fire safety standards, because your safety should never be second rate. The Guardian Pro Emergency Fire Blanket is bigger and stronger and more reliable than the competition, with fire retardant nylon tabs to protect your hands and a reflective strip for quick access in any emergency. Whether it's for your home, kitchen, car, or camping gear, Guardian Pro gives you peace of mind when it matters most. When safety is on the line, never settle for less. Order yours right now on Amazon. Just search Guardian Pro. That's Guardian Pro on Amazon for your Guardian Pro Emergency Fire Blanket. Have you ever felt like life keeps knocking you down? Like every step forward is met with another setback? You're not alone. In the book, The Quiet Climb, Whispered Lessons from a Shattered Life, available on Amazon, author Zonta Arrow reminds us that struggle isn't the end of the story. It's the beginning of something greater. Through moments of pain, loss, and self-doubt, The Quiet Climb reveals the strength that rises from within, the lessons hidden in our hardest days, and the resilience that turns trials into victory. Your story isn't over. Every setback is a setup for a comeback. Discover the wisdom, hope, and renewal waiting for you in The Quiet Climb from author Zonta Arrow. Available on Amazon in Kindle, paperback, hardcover, and Kindle Unlimited. Order your copy right now, because sometimes the quietest climbs lead to the most powerful transformations. Are you looking for a new job and tired of filling out endless applications? Let Lift My CV take over the job search for you. Lift My CV is the new AI-powered job search agent that finds and auto-applies to the best jobs for you, so you can land that dream job faster and easier than ever. Lift My CV is easy to use too. Just set your preferences, upload your resume, and Lift My CV handles everything else. It scans top job boards like LinkedIn, Monster, and more, and fills out the applications while you focus on prepping for that big interview. Your job search just got a lot easier. There's no subscriptions and no commitments. Sign up right now at liftmycv.com. That's liftmycv.com. Apply faster. Get hired sooner. What's really happening in European startups and venture capital? Find out on the podcast Upside, where hosts Dan and Mads, they're partners in Superseed, a company that invests in technical teams that solve today's difficult business problems. And co-host Lomax go beyond the headlines to uncover the real stories shaping the future of technology and investment. Recent discussions include UK Doge, Trump's real tariff tactics, Europe's AI ambitions, and whether the UK is just a startup incubator. Upside breaks down the news behind the news. If you're a founder, an investor, or just love staying ahead in the world of European startups, Upside is your must-listen-to podcast. Add Upside to your podcast playlist right now on Spotify, Apple Podcast, and YouTube, because in venture capital, the real story is always beneath the surface.
You are listening to The Brian Craig Show podcast, broadcasting from sunny South Florida. Brian is joined by his wife and co-host, Kathy. Follow Brian on social media at briancraigshow.com. And now, Brian and Kathy.
Carolyn Levitt had a press conference today, and it seemed like it went on forever. I had to mute it because she was having sound problems in the beginning for 5-10 minutes. Maybe longer. It's very hard to listen to. It was a big echo. You could hear her twice. To me, the technical problem sounded like what we were. And I was watching on Right Side Broadcasting. It came on. I said, well, maybe Right Side has something wrong. So I went over to the TV on Fox, and they had the same echo problem, and went on for a while. And I was surprised no one came out and told her. I think they should have stopped the press conference until they fixed it. It sounded to me like what we were hearing was the feed mic, like for television and online streaming, plus the room speaker. Like there was a microphone inside the room picking up the room speaker as well as the broadcast feed. That's what it sounded like to me. And you got to turn off that room microphone. I could be wrong, but that's what it sounded like to me from my microphone experience. But this has been happening, it seems to me, almost every single press conference. When Carolyn Levitt comes out, there's major audio difficulties. And they've been there now a couple months. Do you think there's sabotage going on? To me, I think there's sabotage going on. I don't understand how this is happening. Who's in charge of the sound? Is it someone new who doesn't know what they're doing? Or is it an old holdout? Is there someone doing something? Is the pool photographer or the pool press doing something to make this happen? There really should be an investigation into this. It's happened. I can't say it's happened every one of her press conferences, but it's happened in quite a number of them. And I don't ever remember in the history of White House press conferences something like this happening. And, she is not a part of their club. When I'm talking about club, I mean the media that thinks they're so elite and so important and so knowledgeable when they're just terrible, poisonous people. But there's something not right about the technical problems. You guys let me know what you think about that. By the way, if you don't already, guys, make sure that you follow me on X. I got locked out of my X that I've had forever and ever. So I've got a new one that I started recently. It's Brian Craig USA on X. Brian Craig USA on X. Make sure you follow me there. That's my only X account that I'm using now. Brian Craig USA on X, and all my show preps there. So Caitlin, I got a couple clips here. This is Caitlin Collins. She was asking Carolyn Levitt about the auto pen.
The president was begging the question that I think a lot of journalists in this room should be asking about whether or not the former president of the United States, who I think we can all finally agree was cognitively impaired. I know it took people some time to finally admit that, but we all know that to be true, as evidenced by his disastrous debate performance against President Trump during the campaign. I digress on that. But the president was raising the point that did the president even know about these pardons? Was his illegal signature used without his consent or knowledge? And that's not just the president or me raising those questions, Caitlin. According to the New York Post, there are Biden officials from the previous White House who raised those questions and wondered if the president was even consulted about his legally binding signature being signed onto documents. And so I think it's a question that everybody in this room should be looking into, because certainly that would propose perhaps criminal or illegal behavior if staff members were signing the President of the United States autograph without his consent.
Is on the record talking about issuing preemptive pardons to these people.
But was he aware of his signature being used on every single pardon? That's a question you should ask the Biden White House.
Is there any evidence on that he wasn't aware of it?
You're a reporter. You should find out.
Okay, now that was Caitlin Collins. Any other? See, the thing with this auto pen, President Trump, he posted on True Social, and he talked about it on Air Force One last night, that there's something up with the auto pen, that Biden was not aware of a lot of these pardons that he supposedly authorized the auto pen on, because they did an examination and found all the pardons they used the auto pen on. And I understand that presidents may not be able to sign every document. I don't know how many documents they have to actually sign, because their underlings handle a lot of things. But obviously, bills, executive orders, pardons have to be signed. And what I would like to know is there's a couple things I'd like to know about the auto pen. I would like to see demonstrated how the auto pen works. And I don't mean like going on YouTube and watching a video on how auto pens work. The auto pen of the President of the United States is the most powerful writing instrument in history, because with that auto pen, no matter where the President of the United States is in the world, he could be in Japan or on the moon, that auto pen can be used to send bombing raids on countries. It can be used to pardon hardcore cop killers, and it's a very powerful pen. And I would like to think that there is a lot of security around the presidential auto signature and the auto pen, that it's not something you can just go, okay, we got to get this document. It's not like the office copy machine. I would think or maybe I would like to think, right? How do you think it works? So I'd like Carolyn Levitt, or whoever would be the right person to do this at the White House, and I think she would be the one, is show us the process of the auto pen. What I would guess is that not only is there a lot of security around it, there must be authorizations to it. If there's this pen that can send troops into combat and launch missiles and rockets and move ships and sign bills into law that are forever a part of the law and all this, there must be a process of permissions and fail-safes and verifications. It's got to be a big deal to use. And if it's not, that's a problem. I mean, if it's something like the office coffee machine, or the copy machine, I should say, that anybody in the office can use and put on a document, that's not how the auto pen should work. My guess is it's not that easy. And there's got to be some type of log on who has been near the auto pen, who's had access to the auto pen, and when it was used and when it wasn't used, when it was put into action, when it was put away. There's got to be, it's too powerful of a pen, the most powerful writing instrument ever known to man. And that would be interesting. The media are never going to ask the questions I just asked, because they don't want to know. Now, here's another thing came up about the Statue of Liberty. This is Peter Ducey with Carolyn Levitt.
And something different. There is now a member of the European Parliament from France who does not think the U.S. represents the values of the Statue of Liberty anymore. They want the Statue of Liberty back. So is President Trump going to send the Statue of Liberty back to France?
Absolutely not. And my advice to that unnamed low-level French politician would be to remind them that it's only because of the United States of America that the French are not speaking German right now. So they should be very grateful to our great country.
Would you hear all those oohs in the press briefing room? Listen to that.
It's only because of the United States of America that the French are not speaking German right now. So they should be very grateful to our great country. So
it's okay for France to go around and insult us. But Carolyn Levitt takes a jab back and it's, ooh, how dare you? Oh, yeah. You know, the thing about the Statue of Liberty, and we all like the Statue of Liberty, but I think it's a lot more important to France than it is to the United States. We're still going to be a free country without it. Okay? So if they want it back that bad, I don't know if they should have it or not. The Statue of Liberty is used by the left for all kinds of terrible purposes, right? They're always using the Statue of Liberty to define or to defend themselves, taking liberties away from us, like this. They were using the Statue of Liberty to justify invasion USA through the southern border, right? So, I like that. Now, the Statue of Liberty, though, does not mean that anyone could just come here. Throughout our entire history, we've had all kinds of quotas on people coming from different countries. That's it. They used to have quotas based on each country. There could be so many Irish, so many Greek, so many Spanish, so many Chinese, so many Japanese. That's the way it went. And this idea that uncontrolled immigration is justified because of something that was etched on the Statue of Liberty just is not the case.
My name is Dr. Philip Appleton. I'm a chiropractic physician. Over the years, I've treated thousands and thousands of patients from bursitis, tendonitis, sciatica, stenosis, neuropathy, tears, post-surgery, pre-surgery, herniated disc, gout, bone on bone. If you can name the pain, most likely I've treated over the years. Most of my practice is laser with robotic lasers. They're robots which rotates constantly around the area, where most lasers do not do that. So if you want to come in for a free consultation, as always here, welcome at Appleton Chiropractic. I'm here 6 days a week. I personally do all the treatment. You can bring your MRIs, you can bring your x-rays, you can bring your CAT scans, whatever you have to bring for me to look at, I would do that free of charge.
Call Dr. Appleton right now for that free consultation. 954-973-0710. 954-973-0710. And online, AppletonChiro.com. Now, this video that's going viral on TikTok, let me just play this. We'll talk about it. I'm not going to explain it. This is a woke, liberal woman.
So I work at a Mexican restaurant, and last night I had a MAGA table come in, wearing the hat and everything. And I just thought, why are you here? This is not for you. You don't get to enjoy these flavors in this cuisine that comes from a country whose people you're trying to kick out. This is not for you. Go home and eat some unseasoned chicken and green bean casserole like God intended. The fuck? Oh, and they tipped $2 on $70.
Well, maybe they were getting rotten service from this waitress that hated them. So they didn't go without a tip. They left a low tip, to send the message to her. So I almost thought when I first saw that, I thought it was fake, okay? Until I saw another version of it that didn't have as much editing to it, which is the one I just played you, that had the tip. If it was a parody, they would have left the tip out. Now, I'll tell you this, to my MAGA brothers and sisters, unless you're going to Wings Plus, don't wear your MAGA gear when you go to a restaurant, okay? Don't do it. Unless you go to Wings Plus, which is an advertiser with us on the Steve Kane Show. And I mean that because what are they doing with your food back in the kitchen? Who would go to a Mexican restaurant in MAGA gear and order Mexican food? In fact, when I say this is fake, no, she's real. What I mean, but I'm not so sure that this really happened, because those of you that are MAGA, can you imagine yourself going to a Mexican restaurant with your MAGA hats on and everything and sitting down with Hispanic staff and ordering food? That doesn't seem too smart to me. I don't wear my MAGA stuff when I go into places where I'm going to buy food or drink. I just don't. But this idea, because they could spit in your food, or worse. You should be so lucky that they only spit in it. Who knows what else they could do? But yeah, that's right. You got to be careful, guys. Don't make any mistakes. I just can't imagine a group of MAGA people all wearing MAGA hats going into a Mexican restaurant with Hispanic people working in there and ordering food. It just doesn't seem that smart. Now, I have gone to Chipotle with a MAGA shirt on because I wear MAGA shirts a lot. At Chipotle, I don't mind because I'm there watching them make the food. I see a lot of police officers in my neighborhood go to Chipotle, and I could be wrong, but I assume police officers go to Chipotle because they can see them make the food. If they go somewhere else, you don't know what they're going to do. And you got to be very conscious of this. I remember there was years ago, a police officer went through a drive-thru at a fast food restaurant. I don't remember which one it was. And he just thought that the guy at the drive-thru that gave him his food was acting funny. And he took his food. He didn't eat it. He took it and had it examined in the police lab. And the guy had spit stuff in his food. Okay. So you got to be conscious of that. This morning, I went to get coffee and I'm wearing a Fight, Fight, Fight Trump t-shirt today. And it's got Trump when he stood up and said, fight, fight, fight. And I said, oh, and I put on, before I went in to get my coffee, I put on a hoodie and zipped it up because you can't let them say, that's how liberals are. You and I as conservatives, we wouldn't do that, right? They wouldn't do that, but they do it. Right? You wouldn't do something. Like if I go to the coffee shop, I don't know, they could give me decaf. You go to a restaurant, they could do whatever. Conservatives, we wouldn't do that. If people came in a Biden or Kamala outfit, you wouldn't do that. But these people are insane. MAGA people are moral people. Now, the great Tom Homan, Tom Homan is a rock star. And he was at the White House taking questions today. And they're very upset, the left, these activists in the media. They're very upset about this act from 1798 that the president is using to deport these violent gang members from Venezuela. And Tom Homan, he had a great response to this fake news reporter. Listen.
You say to those who claim you're using a 200-year-old law to circumvent due process?
An old law? Not as old as the Constitution. We still pay attention to that, don't we?
But some would say this is...
How many more terrorists do you plan on deporting to El Salvador?
And a couple of things about that. The reporter had an accent. You notice that? It sounded almost Irish. I don't know. And Tom Homan, that was a mic drop moment. He just said it, and then he walks away. I love it. Listen.
You say to those who claim you're using a 200-year-old law to circumvent due process?
An old law? Not as old as the Constitution. We still pay attention to that, don't we?
But some would say this is...
How many more terrorists do you plan on deporting to El Salvador?
Yeah, and then he walks away. He's shaking his head. He knows when to hold him and when to fold him. I mean, he knows. I mean, he could have stood there for 10 more minutes and taken more questions, but he knew that was so good that, boom, I'm out of here. That's it. Yeah, that's exactly right. We'll be right back. What if the news didn't just tell you the story, but made you live it? Author Emily Tiffany Joy takes you inside a near-future society where the line between fact and fiction disappears in Technesthesia, a new journalism available on Amazon. In Technesthesia, enter a world where technology has rewritten human perception. Truth is no longer reported, it's experienced. In the future of journalism, memory, identity, and reality itself are no longer your own. If truth can be felt rather than proven, does it still matter if it's real? Technesthesia is a mind-bending, thought-provoking journey into the next evolution of media. Author Emily Tiffany Joy is a philosopher and founder of the Center for Non-Adversarial Knowledge Structuring. It's a groundbreaking initiative that's dedicated to ethical innovation, responsible artificial intelligence frameworks, and much more. The future isn't coming, it's already here. Order your copy right now on Amazon in Kindle, paperback, hardcover, and Kindle Unlimited. Technesthesia from author Emily Tiffany Joy. What's really happening in the world's most volatile regions? Who's fighting for freedom and who's standing in their way? Find out the answers to those questions and more on the podcast Around the World with Dane Waters. This must-listen-to podcast takes you inside the global struggles that are shaping our future, from conflict zones to the corridors of power. Dane Waters is a global affairs expert and seasoned traveler. He covers today's most pressing issues with expert analysis and firsthand stories from those on the front lines. Stay informed, get inspired, and join the conversation. Add Around the World with Dane Waters to your podcast playlist right now on Spotify and Apple Podcast. Can words truly mend a broken heart and bring hope in the darkest moments? From war veteran and author Edgar Dixon Rodriguez comes his deeply personal journey of love, faith, and resilience in his book, Letters That Give You Goosebumps, available on Amazon. Through handwritten letters, author Edgar Dixon Rodriguez discovered a lifeline in the chaos of war, proving that even in the darkest times, words can heal, unite, and even inspire. This must-read and powerful memoir reveals the transformative power of letters in healing trauma, a love story that defied all odds through words of hope, and how simple acts of kindness can change lives forever. What makes this book unique is that it features heartfelt letters, authentic images, a historic journal, captivating videos, and an original soundtrack. It delivers a truly multi-sensory, immersive, and unforgettable experience. This book also makes a great addition to your book club. What if the letters you wrote could not only save yourself, but also someone else? Experience the power of words and order your copy of Letters That Give You Goosebumps, a memoir of love, faith, and healing from author Edgar Dixon Rodriguez. Available on Amazon in Kindle, paperback, and Kindle Unlimited. You can also learn more on the author's website, projectpluspr.com/books. Letters That Give You Goosebumps, a memoir of love, faith, and healing from author Edgar Dixon Rodriguez on Amazon. What fuels a champion? Focus, strength, and endurance. And now there's an energy drink like no other that's built for all three. Blitz. Other energy drinks say they're made without sugar and artificial sweeteners. Everyone has zero sugar, but they all use artificial sweeteners except Blitz. Blitz is naturally sweetened using a fruit called monk fruit that gives you clean energy without that crash. Blitz is packed with green tea, ginseng, ginkgo biloba, and ginger, loaded with B vitamins in combination with herbs. It sharpens focus and will fuel your performance at work or at the gym. And at just 15 calories, it has no artificial colors, dyes, or high fructose corn syrup. Blitz is energy the way it should be. Pure, powerful, and made with real lychee fruit that gives you bold, refreshing flavor. Blitz ships to all 50 states. So order right now online at blitzbeverages.com. That's BLITZ. blitzbeverages.com. You can also find Blitz in select grocery stores in New York City. Make sure to follow them on Instagram at Blitz Energy Drinks and get ready for 3 new flavors coming soon: pineapple, grapefruit, and passion fruit. Blitz, energy for champions. Drink up, power up, rise above. Order now at blitzbeverages.com.
You are listening to The Brian Craig Show podcast, broadcasting from sunny South Florida. Brian is joined by his wife and co-host, Kathy. Follow Brian on social media at BrianCraigShow.com. And now, Brian and Kathy.
I might be agreeing with Don Lemon. I might be. We'll find out in a few minutes, okay? I'm going to get to something that he said, and I may not agree with him, but I might. I only listened to the description of the audio that I'm going to play. I haven't listened to the whole thing. I want to tell you guys, though, that if you'd like to support the program, of course, there's a great many ways to do that. And one of them is to go to mypillow.com and use my promo code Kane at checkout, KANE, and load up. You know, what I have noticed about growing older, as I'm going to be 54 years old next month, guys, I can't believe it. You know, when I first started working with Steve Kane, he was younger than I am now, and 54. I can remember when my grandmother was 51. She's long gone, sadly, but 54, getting up there, and oh my goodness. But one thing I've noticed as, you know, people grow old, because I'm not just turning 54, my friends are my age and even older. And one thing I've learned about people as they get into their 50s and above, sleeping the whole night through is not as easy as it used to be, is it, guys? Oh, no, it's not. And sadly, that's a lot of people do a lot of crazy things to sleep. Some people I know have wine or martinis or beer, or a few beers before they go to bed to help them sleep. Some take sleeping pills. Oh my goodness. And that has effects that last the next day. You know, you might pass, you're not getting restful REM sleep. You're just passing out and you wake up and you're groggy. Or some people just stay up all night. You know, if you get what I call the MyPillow sleep system, because my wife and I, Kathy, this is what we have. It's the MyPillow mattress and the mattress topper. And the reason we have the mattress topper is we got a new we had to get a new mattress a while back. So we got a MyPillow mattress, and we already had the mattress topper, which is spectacular. So we have the MyPillow mattress, the MyPillow mattress topper, the MyPillow sheets, and the MyPillows. We have all of that. We have the perfect bed. And it's all from MyPillow products. And there are incredible deals going on right now, including free shipping offers with our promo code Kane. And every time you use our promo code Kane at checkout, Kane, you're supporting this program. You're supporting all of our content. And it does support this podcast, my YouTube channel, and the radio show. And Mike Lindell is with us for as long as he's been with us, because you out there in this audience on all my different platforms use our promo code Kane at checkout, Kane. So please continue to do that. Savings up to 80%. Free shipping offers in effect as well. Promo code Kane, Kane, at mypillow.com. But first, this is ABC News. The egg prices have dropped a lot. Listen, ABC News this morning.
Finally, there is some good news. These are staples in all of our fridges. A lot of people love eggs. Many of us have them. And finally, I have some good news for you. The USDA says wholesale egg prices dropped for the third straight week. And it's a pretty big drop. The average wholesale price nationwide fell to $4.15 per dozen. So let's put that in perspective. That is down about $2.70 in just 1 week. Prices were over $8 at the end of last month. So part of the reason for the steep drop is people were put off by those high prices, so demand is lower. The other reasons, experts say, are because bird flu outbreaks have decreased. And get this, Easter is really late this year, so demand isn't that high right now. However, USDA also says declines haven't been reflected at store shelves yet, so you still may see those higher prices. But experts say consumers should start to see those prices drop by the time Easter finally rolls around, just in time to dye those Easter eggs.
So in the past week alone, egg prices have fallen $2.70 a dozen. And you notice how this fake news reporter on ABC reports this. A couple days ago, and for the last couple of months, the egg prices have been Trump's fault. But now that they've dropped, it has nothing to do with Trump. Well, the bird flu's calmed down, demand's calmed down. So what she's really telling us are the real reasons that egg prices were high, demand, bird flu, but they've been blaming Trump and lying to us. It's amazing to me. And this clip is going viral on social media, but you liberals out there, they'll just get another talking point. It'll probably involve Putin and Russia, since Trump's about to end the war.
It's the same thing
that's Don Lemon. We'll get to him in a minute. But egg prices are coming.
The same thing when I see.
Calm down, Don Lemon. Calm down. We'll get you in just a moment. The egg prices are coming down. The liberals are going to be in big trouble with their talk. Got to get some new talking points, liberals. Okay, so Bill Maher on his show that he does, it looks like it's in his house. I don't know if it's in a studio, where he sits around, drinks booze, and smokes weed while he interviews famous people. He had Don Lemon in, and Don Lemon's talking about black MAGA people.
It's the same thing when I see not all black Republicans, but I see a black MAGA person who is carrying Donald Trump's water and they know that he's lying. It is the shortest line to the front. Because if you're black and you're whatever, you're just in line with a bunch of other Democrats that are doing the same thing that you're doing. But if you become a black MAGA person, it's like, whoa, let's book this person. Let's put him on television.
So you don't think you can be a sincere black MAGA person?
No, I just said, I don't think that. I just said, I think there can be sincere Republicans.
But you can't be a sincere black Republican?
I don't think that you can be a rational MAGA, be black and be a rational MAGA person. I think you can be black and be a Republican.
I think they would find that very insulting.
Well, I mean, the truth is often insulting.
Okay. Now, I agree with part of what he says, but the second parts that he says, I don't agree with anything. And what I mean by that is, if you are a minority and you're MAGA and you're vocal and you have a show like this, you do get elevated. I've talked about that for years. I mean, if I were black, I would be one of the most famous broadcasters in America. Okay, that's true. I'm just a white guy with a guitar, so it's a little more difficult. So he's right about that. But this thing at the end, isn't this an interesting thing that he's just said at the end, Don Lemon? You can legitimately be a black Republican, but not black MAGA. Well, what's the difference in his mind? Right? Wouldn't you like to know the difference? I'd like to know the difference. What is the difference in his mind between a Republican and a MAGA Republican? What would be your guess? What would be? Yeah, exactly. There is no difference unless, you're an establishment Republican that's not really a Republican and you're just trying to destroy and stop Trump. But it's an interesting thing that he's trying to do. And if you notice, he's not alone in this, Don Lemon. A lot of these leftist lunatics are trying very, very hard to align themselves with non-MAGA Republicans, the establishment, because they're unified against us. And it makes me wonder, because Don Lemon is trying very, very hard to make a name for himself since he left CNN, and it hasn't gone too well. He's just not a likable guy. People aren't, him and Acosta, the two of them, no one's interested in what they have to say. But it makes me wonder, is he trolling for Republican establishment support to try to elevate him in the background because he's failing so much? CNN paid him $10 million when they fired him. You would think he'd go away and retire, but Don Lemon, he can't do that. Now, I wanted to share this. Over the weekend, I shared with you, Senator Mark Kelly was talking about selling his Tesla, and now he's got his new car, and he made a video, posted it on X about his new car. Listen.
All right, here I am with my new ride, Chevy, good old Chevy Tahoe, here in Washington, D.C. Got one of these in Tucson as well. This one was made by Union Labor, United Auto Workers in Arlington, Texas. Always good to buy Union cars, incredibly reliable. And I'm looking forward to driving this for many, many years.
Okay, now a couple things. You know what cracks me up about this? I am playing this video from Senator Kelly's feed on X. So he got rid of his Tesla because he said Elon Musk is an a-hole. But he's using Elon Musk's X to do his virtue signaling about selling his Tesla. So is he supporting Elon Musk or not? Is he evil? Is he Hitler or not? Why is he not using like Facebook or some other social media platform? Why is he using Elon Musk's own platform if he's such a bad guy? But you know what this new trend that's going on with Democrats selling their Teslas, it's becoming like it is virtue signaling, which liberals are really into, but I kind of compare it to the ice bucket challenge. They're all doing it. But someone like Mark Kelly, my guess is they don't like the Teslas, and they've been driving the Teslas because before Elon got on the Trump train, it was expected of Democrats, especially those in government, to own and drive Teslas. It was expected of them. Okay. I knew a guy once. I didn't know him well, wasn't a friend of mine, but he did a lot of work with unions, and he had two cars. He had the car he really drove. I can't remember what it was. And then he had a Chevy because he was dealing with union guys, and he drove the Chevy when he was working so that the union guys he worked with knew he drove a union made electric car. I think Mark Kelly just didn't like the Tesla for whatever reason, and he really wanted the Tahoe. It's too, this is his out to get it. But, this guy is such a low-life creep. Here we have Elon Musk. There's certain things that should unite people, but Democrats can't be united on anything. And one of those things is a disaster in space. We have these two stranded astronauts. He's an astronaut, Mark Kelly. And we have these two stranded astronauts that Elon Musk sent a rescue mission up for that's being led by these two female SpaceX astronauts from NASA, an Army colonel and an Air Force major. Both of them are women, the commander and the pilot of the rescue ship, Crew 10 from SpaceX. It's two women. And instead of him as an astronaut being part of that astronaut club, instead of him uniting behind this rescue, while Elon Musk is rescuing fellow astronauts, he's trashing the man who's doing the astronaut rescue. It shows you how sick, twisted, and partisan these Democrats are, that even with something like this, they cannot be united. Remember Apollo 13? They made the movie about it with Tom Hanks. That was such a uniting event. Even the movie itself, when it came out, was unifying when people saw that. And he can't even get united behind rescuing his own fellow astronauts. That's how sick and twisted these Democrats are. And, they'll always be that way. If you like to support the program, another great way to do that is to become a Patreon supporter. When you're a Patreon supporter, you have access to commercial-free editions of all of our podcast episodes. And there's a link to our Patreon page in the description of this and every episode, not just of the podcast, but on my YouTube videos as well. There's a link to my Patreon page. Our top Patreon supporters get a live shout out thank you on every episode. So the names you will hear now are our top Patreon supporters. I want to thank Andrew and Connie, Christine, ETW, Chuck, D, Pamela, Rick, Nick, Wesley, Macho, Mike P, Carlos, Paulette, John, Heather, David, Maria in Texas, Richard, Alice, K-Mac, LeeZep, Shawna, Constance, George, Brandon, Rob, and Trish Wilkerson, Christy R, John S, Frank, and Dale. These are our top Patreon supporters. Thank you all for your support. Now, the media today, there has been zero coverage on this NPR reporter that hit the president in the face on Friday with the microphone. And Laura Loomer identified this really twisted girl. You know, the media knew who she was right away because she was part of the press corps. She was with them on the tarmac. I don't know if she got on the plane on Air Force One and flew to Mar-a-Lago or not, but she was there. They know who she is. And if you haven't seen the video, which I'm sure most of you have, go online and watch it. She hit President Trump in the face with this very large boom mic, and there's photographs of it. It had to hurt. It was big. And then she wiped across his mouth the microphone itself. The media covered that up. They didn't cover it. They didn't tell us who it was. And of course, the great Laura Loomer uncovered who she is. And she's a reporter from National Public Radio.
In Michigan, Trump will speak about...
Oh, that's a clip of her that I want to play for you. I played this on the radio this morning, but I think it's pretty important to play it again. And you guys out there, you can share this. This is, again, I have this whole story from Loomer on my X, Brian Craig USA on X. Go there and retweet this. It's big. She is a hardcore Trump hater. She's called him a Klansman. And she's a big LGBTQ activist. And with everything President Trump's doing with trans sports, you know she's opposed to it. And this is a clip of her covering the Trump campaign during this last election cycle. Listen to this.
In Michigan, Trump will speak about crime in Howell. It's a town of about 10,000. Ahead of that, his campaign emphasized, in contrast to what VP Harris has said in the past, Trump wants to, quote, overfund the police. Trump's campaign has not yet responded to NPR's questions about why they chose Howell. Howell has historic links to the Ku Klux Klan and was the site of a white supremacist demonstration last month. Danielle Kurtzleben, NPR News, Detroit, Michigan.
Okay, so that's how she views Trump, the reporter that hit him in the face with the microphone, which I've never seen happen to a president in the United States before. And the more I look at it, the more I think of it, the more convinced I am that she actually did it on purpose. Let me know in the comments what you think. Did she do it on purpose or not? Yes or no? And look at how she talks about him. Oh, well, why is he in this town in Michigan? Oh, well, there was a Klan rally there once. Where was there not a Klan event once where Democrats rule, right? What does that mean? He's there for that? This woman should be arrested. She should be investigated. And the reporters, I didn't see any reporters ask about it in the press conference today. If one did, I missed it. I mean, I'd like to know if she was questioned, if her microphone was tested, how the Secret Service responded to this assault on the president of the United States on the tarmac. I'd also like to know if the president has been tested. You know, you can give people all kinds of things. Remember, Amy Coney Barrett gave President Trump COVID. She could have, we were talking earlier about the Mexican restaurant with the MAGA people. She could have the flu. She could have a cold. She could have a virus and hacked on that microphone before she did it. Who knows? Maybe it was an accident. I don't think so. But she should be forever banned from White House press coverage. I've never seen anything like that. Could you imagine because she's with a hardcore liberal outlet, NPR, and NPR is being hit hard by Doge, right? They're one of the government waste corruption deals going on. So you know she and her people at NPR is so hardcore left. It really truly is. They're funded by the government and they're getting funds cut big time. So anyone who's at NPR is pissed off at Trump. And then this happens. Come on. Could you imagine if someone from a conservative media outlet, like I'll just say Right Side Broadcasting, right? If Right Side Broadcasting hit Biden or Obama in the face with their microphone like that, there would be all hell to pay. And there should be questions asked, and it should be investigated. But because she's a liberal and she did it to Trump, it's almost like he deserves it. It's okay. My name's Brian Craig. This is where MAGA comes to talk.